back in the garage. I did record this previously, but when I was transferring it to my phone to edit, half of it didn't download right, so I'll just go over a quick review of what I just did. To start off is I installed the Jegs intake, so got that all situated. But I think, like I mentioned in the last one, I did pull the motor all the way forward, got everything leveled out before I put the intake and even the valve, the valley cover on. I used this angle finder pretty much, made sure that the motor was sitting in spec. Like I said, it's level this way, and then from front to back, I think if you look it up, like a LS mounted engine, like the angle, I think it says between like 1 and 6, with like 2 being the optimum angle for performance. So yeah, between 1 and 6, I believe. I'll have to double check and put up on the screen, but it is well between that. It might have been between 1 and 10, but I don't think it's that high. But it was well within that range of the angle that the motor's supposed to be, even from left to right. Like I said, I took into account with the garage floor not being level. I even put the angle finder there, and just transferred it up there, and it was, I think it was dead even, or like maybe 1 degree off. But I just took into account with that being the garage floor not being level, and then the garage floor was about the same angle, so all that should be good. But yeah, got the intake all installed. Now with this, it doesn't give like the torque specs when installing it, but I just went with, just Googled LS intake torque specs, and that's all I went with. So I think it was, you do the different pattern. I think you just skip side to side, and then you do 2 different torque specs. I think the first one's 44, and the second one's like 89 inch-pounds. So just went with that all the way around twice, so that is secure. It does come with all the gaskets and everything, so all the gaskets to the to mount it to the cylinder head, or to mount it to the heads, it comes with all that, so you don't have to worry about those. It does come with O-ring that goes on the intake itself, in between the intake and the throttle body, so I'll put that on there. And then with the throttle cable bracket, it comes with these other gaskets, so I just ran one on each side. Now if I wanted to, I could go back in and probably trim that one up. This side you really can't see it, but it's really not bothering me too much. So like I said, if it does, I'll just go back in, either take the throttle body off or just get a razor blade and trim that little piece. But just have all that installed. I'm not sure what throttle cable I'm gonna go with yet. I know on the Elco, I think I just pulled one from a junkyard, either from like an express van or a truck, and then just cut that down to fit. I know other companies have some aftermarket ones, so I might look into doing that. Just a little cleaner look. One with a 92mm throttle body, just because it's the 4.8 on here. It feels like the 6.0, or maybe even the 5.3. I might have stepped it up a little bit, but the 92 should be fine for me. Well, it sold it as a kit, but it's pretty much buying the idle intake module and the throttle position sensor separately. They did come with spare bolts, but it's just one of each, so it's one of this size and then one a little bit larger. I went out, and all four of them were this size. I'm not sure why it came with the other size bolt, but I went out and grabbed 4 new bolts, just because I said if I'd have got it off another intake, these two sensors, if I'd have got them, it probably would have came with the hardware, but starting from scratch pretty much. So if you do need them, I'm not sure how well it's going to show up, but the size is M4-0.7. I think if you're going to do it, I could grab two different sizes. I grabbed a 12 millimeter and 10 millimeter. I think the 12s would be perfect. Also grabbed a set of washers, so it's a 4-pack of washers. So yeah, M4 by 12 millimeter is the size for these bolts on this intake. It might be, or on this throttle body, it might be different with different ones, but M4 by 12 millimeters, and they fit just fine. 4 bolts, 4 washers. That's all it was. When I put the valley cover on, I did replace the gaskets or the seals, so it does have new seals on there. I had to borrow the bolts off the 6.0 because I don't know what happened to the ones I took off the 4.8, but that's pretty much just getting the intake installed. I ran into one more problem with the On3 kit, and it's probably my fault, but they don't mention anything on their website about what accessories fit with it. If you're running car style accessories like the LS1, you should be fine, but if you're running truck accessories, I know when I have the crossover pipe on, it's real close to, I think, this idler, or yeah, so it might be real close to here, but it's clear. But then if you come to this side, and I just threw the thermostat housing on for now with the original style or OEM style thermostat housing, it does hit this crossover pipe right here. So I had to trim it down, but once I trimmed it down, there's like a notch on the thermostat housing. I trimmed that notch down. It's still pretty much resting on it. So I looked up and I found a slightly shorter, as far as like the height goes of it sticking out from the water pump. It's slightly shorter, so I'm gonna see if that clears. If not, there's a company I saw online that they sell, I think, even shorter ones, but it's like I think 5 to 8 weeks out. So I took my chances with the first one because it's a swivel. It's a swivel, so when I get to doing the lower radiator hose, I'm not sure how it's going to route. So if it's on a swivel, I'll be able to have somewhat of adjustability with it. The other one I was looking at, it just dropped straight down. So we'll see if I have to order that one, or if the one I did order is going to work. I'll go over that once it gets in. I think that's it for up here. Yeah, that's pretty much it besides the radiator. So I did get a hold of the company. Like I said, been seeing a bunch of advertisement for it pop up on like Facebook and everything. So I was like, you know what? I'll give them a shot. It's a 3-core radiator, or 3 rows. It's a little bit slimmer than the Champion 3-core. So I think it's just pretty much the reservoirs. It's a little bit smaller, but it came with the fans and everything. And I pointed out that it was dented on the top. It's the same on the bottom on this side. So none of the cores got messed up, but like these little fins, they get bent. So the company was like, we could take it back unless you think it's going to work. And I'm like, I told him I don't feel like taking it out right now, but like I said, it's just bent up on these fins. Like just one row on the bottom is bent up, so I don't think it crushed the actual tubes that cross over. So I think it's good. If not, they did reach out. They refunded me most of the money for it. Just under, I'd say about a third of the money for it. So I was like, I could live with it. And then they're sending out 4 more clips because 4 of these clips are broken. So they're sending out 4 of those. So if it doesn't work, out of pocket, once I get the refund, it'd be about 120 bucks out of pocket. So if it doesn't work, I could eat that money. Just 120 bucks, no problem. I could figure out a use for the fans and just get a different radiator. But if it does work, it's 120 bucks for a fan and radiator setup. So I'm not gonna fill it up just yet to see if it does leak or not. So that'll be at a later date. I'll come back later this week and I should start, well, my buddy should swing by and we'll figure out everything we need to change with the cold air piping and the header. So that's pretty much it for that. I was going to make this one whole video, but I think I'll split it in 2. So I'm just going over what's going on in the engine bay. I'm not sure if I'm going to upload it before or after, but then I'm going to crawl under the car and go over measuring for the drive shaft length and some other stuff. Well, it's still 11-minute video of me just rambling, so I'll just crawl under there now and just go over it. Just show you guys what I did. And it's looking good. But eventually, I know it doesn't look good for now, but I have this seal kit coming in for it, so I think I ordered a seal and a new filter for the transmission. So once I start replacing that, I'll probably power wash all this off or take it to a car wash and just pressure wash it. And then I thought I ordered the torque converter bolts, but I didn't. So waiting for those to come in. I think I ordered them with the seal kit, so all of it should be in this week. And then I'll be able to actually mount bolt the torque converter to the flex plate, get that out of the way, and then put that cover back on it so it's not a big gap right here. That'll all be red. And then once that's cleaned up, I'm debating on painting the transmission pan, but I'm not sure yet. So yeah, that's coming soon. I'll clean that up. Got the cross member all in. Now this is just the Summit brand cross member. Like I mentioned before, I think D's Life, he went over the differences or the similarities between the Summit brand and G-Force. Like I said, when you open this package up with the cross member, the instructions all say G-Force on it, so it's pretty much the same thing. I saved about like 20-30 bucks or something. Then threw the drive shaft loop on. You know, I had to go with the UMI. It looks good under there. A little bit of red, a little bit of black. But yeah, looks good under here with the undercoat and everything. All that suspension. But I did climb under here and I did measure for the drive shaft length. So if you look online, there's different companies. They'll give you a printout on what to measure for. Some have it from the end of the shaft. Some have it from you measure the space between the end of the shaft and the end of the tail shaft extension. Get that gap. But I just measured from the end of the tail shaft. So from here to the rear, or to the face of the yoke, or if the drive shaft was still in there, you just measure to the center of the U-joint. So pretty much that face right there is what you want to measure to, and just take that length. I think mine was right around 49 and 5/8, so 49 inches and 5/8. So I might double check my measurements before I take that to the shop, or take my measurements to a shop and have them make up a custom drive shaft. I don't think I'm gonna order one online. I think I'm gonna go to the same shop that I did the one on the El Caminos. That one I just had, I think, shortened, but it's pretty quick. It's right down the street from my job, so try to keep it local and stuff like that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Gave you guys a look in the engine bay with the intake on, a little look underneath with the dirty transmission pan, just going over the drive shaft length. And with the drive shaft, when measuring it, you want to make sure the car is level and has some weight in it. You want as close to like the ride weight as possible, because once you do all your measurements and everything, I think one of the suspension, well, when you're driving, the suspension will go up and down, and then the drive shaft will slightly go in and out, so there's going to be a little bit of play in there too. So you don't want the rear end hanging, you want it underweight, and with it being on all 4 ramps, kind of simulates it being on all 4 tires. Well, it is on all 4, but with it being on ramps, just lets me get up under there a lot easier and able to measure for everything. But yeah, that's it. Intake's on, waiting for the thermostat housing, well, a different thermostat housing, and waiting for the seal kit for the transmission pan. I have the seal kit for the extension, so there's a seal, or I think they call it a bushing, or no, I think they call it a bushing or a bearing, but it's pretty much a seal kit that goes on the tail shaft extension. When I do the pan, I might as well knock that out at the same time, and then throw that cover on. But that's about it. And a color combo. Woo. But yeah, I'm not sure if I'm gonna run the drive shaft, if I want to paint it, just to set it off under there, just keep it all black. But that's about it for this video. Once the parts come in, I think later this week, I'll end up swapping those parts out. I'll make a video on that stuff, and I'll just keep going from there. Once the turbo kit, once all that's situated, or my buddy comes and takes the parts to weld them up and chop them up and everything, and I'll probably get started on the fuel system, which that shouldn't be too hard. I've done that one before, but that's about it. I'll cut you guys off and see you on the next one.